Imagine reaching the summit of your dreams, only to find the view surprisingly bleak. For so many of us in midlife, those once burning ambitions suddenly feel empty. If you feel that quiet soul fatigue, a sense that your external achievements no longer bring the joy they used to, then this message is for you. This feeling is not a sign that you have failed. It is a profound and sacred signal that you have successfully completed a chapter and your soul is now ready for the next one. For so many women in America, especially between 40 and 60, this is the moment the soul asks for a recalibration. It is a profound invitation to stop navigating by the maps society gave you and to finally unearth your own. This video is a guide to heeding these sacred internal shifts. We will not be talking about finding a new career. We will be talking about finding your true calling. We will explore how to chart a new course toward a life that truly resonates with your deepest self. It is time to find your true north. There is a silent erosion of ambition that happens in midlife. It's not a loud crash. It is a quiet, slow fading, like a vibrant painting left in the sun for too long. The colors that once burned so brightly have lost their spark. This is the unsettling feeling that so many of us experience. You have achieved everything you thought you wanted. You have climbed the ladder. You have built the career. You have raised the family. You have played your role beautifully. But you wake up one morning and the motivation is gone. The goals that once pulled you out of bed now feel like a heavy weight. What was once a passionate calling has become a tiring obligation. This is the midlife mirage. For the first half of our lives, we are often running towards a destination that was painted for us by someone else, by our parents, by our teachers, by society. Success was a checklist, a series of external validations to be collected, and we were very good at collecting them. But then you arrive, you reach the destination, and you realize the oasis you were promised is just a mirage in the desert. There is no lasting fulfillment here, only a profound and confusing emptiness. And there is an insidious cost to ignoring this feeling. We tell ourselves we are just tired. We tell ourselves we need a vacation. We push through, hoping the spark will magically return. But ignoring this feeling leads to a deeper kind of exhaustion. It leads to burnout, to apathy, to the quiet desperation of living a life that is beautifully constructed on the outside, but feels hollow on the inside. It is the sense of being profoundly lost while standing perfectly still in the life you built. Does that sound familiar to you? If it does, I want you to hear this. That feeling of emptiness is not a sign that your life is over. It is a sacred signal that a new one is ready to begin. This is the moment we learn to decode the soul's whispers. For so long we have been trained to listen to the loud voices of the world, the shouts of deadlines, the demands of others, the roar of expectations. But the soul does not shout. It whispers. And that profound discontent you feel, that is not a sign of failure. It is a whisper. It is a sacred call for change. It is your soul gently tapping you on the shoulder, saying, "My dear, this path is no longer ours." And the soul speaks in many languages. It speaks through the body's wisdom, that chronic fatigue that sleep can't fix, that persistent low-level anxiety that hums beneath the surface. These are not just symptoms of stress. They are often physical manifestations of a life that is out of alignment.
Your body is telling you that the energy it takes to maintain a life that isn't true is simply too much. I once spoke to a woman, a lawyer, who had developed chronic migraines in her 40s. She had seen every doctor, tried every medication. It was only when she finally gave herself permission to leave her high-pressure job and open a small pottery studio, something she had dreamed of since she was a girl, that the migraines vanished. Her body had been screaming a truth her mind was too afraid to hear. The soul also speaks through subtle signs, through repetitive dreams that you can't quite shake, through persistent thoughts or daydreams about a different kind of life, that strange, illogical urge to learn Italian or move to the coast or take up gardening. These are not random distractions. They are clues. They are clues left by your inner self guiding you towards a path with more heart, more meaning, more you. But we are so good at dismissing these whispers. We rationalize them away. We call them impractical, irresponsible, silly. We are afraid to listen because we know on some deep level that to truly listen would require us to change, and change is terrifying. So we stay in the beautiful, hollow house, and the whisper from our soul gets a little quieter, and the emptiness gets a little louder. But it does not have to be this way. There is a map for this territory, a compass for this journey, and that is the profound wisdom Carl Jung offered for this exact moment in a woman's life.
So, how do we navigate this profound shift when the maps we have used our entire lives suddenly lead nowhere? This is where we turn to Jung's compass, his profound wisdom on the journey of individuation in midlife. Now, individuation is a big word, but its meaning is simple and beautiful. It is the journey of becoming your authentic self, not just your successful self. Jung taught that the first half of life is about building a strong ego. The ego is the mask we wear, our persona. It is the part of us that achieves, that strives, that builds a life in the outer world. And it is a necessary and important part of our development. But in midlife, the soul asks for something more. It asks us to turn our attention inward and begin the journey of discovering who we are beneath the mask. This is a critical turning point. For many women, it is the moment of the ego's surrender. This can feel terrifying. The ego has been the driver of your car for 40 or 50 years. It has gotten you to where you are. And now, a quiet voice from the back seat, the voice of your soul, is asking to take the wheel. True growth in the second half of life often requires letting go of who you thought you were supposed to be. It requires the courage to say, I do not know who I am anymore, and that is okay. Because that not knowing is the beginning of a deeper knowing. It is the fertile emptiness from which your true self can finally emerge. And a crucial part of this journey is integrating the shadows. Now, when we hear the word shadow, we often think of our dark side, our anger, our envy, our shame. And yes, that is part of it. But the shadow also contains all the parts of ourselves that we have disowned or repressed in order to fit in. And for so many women, this includes our brightest, most vibrant, and most powerful parts. Think of the young girl you once were, the one who was wildly creative, fiercely independent, unapologetically joyful. Where did she go? Often she was sent into the shadow because we learned that to be a good girl, to be acceptable, to be successful in a world built on logic and productivity, we had to be more serious, more responsible, less much. The soul fatigue you feel in midlife is often the exhaustion of holding these vital, energetic parts of yourself in the shadow. It takes an immense amount of energy to keep your own light hidden.
Individuation is the process of turning around, walking into that shadow, and reclaiming those lost parts. It is about finding that creative girl you once were and giving her a paintbrush again. It is about finding that independent spirit and giving her permission to dream again. When you begin to do this, you are not just rediscovering old hobbies, you are reclaiming your own life force. This is how you unlock new energy, new passion, new direction. The emptiness you feel is not a sign that you have nothing left. It is a sign that there is a vast, undiscovered country inside of you, waiting to be explored. Let's imagine this with a story. Think of Sarah, a 52-year-old marketing executive. She had it all: the corner office, the awards, the respect of her peers. But she felt a profound emptiness. She was burned out, apathetic. Her life looked like a perfect, polished apple, but on the inside, it was turning to dust. Through her own inner work, she began to listen to the whispers. She remembered the girl she once were, a girl who spent her summers being lost in the woods, who knew the names of trees and birds, who felt more at home in nature than anywhere else. That part of her had been sent into the shadow for 30 years, deemed impractical for a corporate career. Slowly, she began to integrate that part back into her life. She started with a small herb garden on her balcony. Then she started taking long walks in the park on weekends without her phone. She took a course on local ecology. These were small steps, but they were acts of reclamation. She wasn't abandoning her successful self. She was integrating her authentic self. And something remarkable happened. Her energy began to return. The apathy lifted. She found a new sense of purpose, not in climbing another corporate ladder, but in becoming a volunteer guide at her local nature preserve. She was no longer just a successful executive. She was becoming whole. That is the journey of individuation. It is not about finding a new identity. It is about remembering the one that has been waiting for you all along.
The journey of individuation is not a task to be completed. It is an unfolding to be trusted. And so we arrive at the most practical and perhaps the most courageous part of this journey, the courageous recalibration. This is where we move from understanding to action. Not loud, dramatic, life-shattering action, but quiet, intentional, soul-honoring action. The first and most powerful step in this recalibration is to give yourself permission. Permission to not know the final destination. Permission to change your mind. Permission to outgrow the person you once were and the dreams you once had. For so long, you have been the captain of a ship, steering it skillfully towards a predetermined port. To recalibrate is not to sink the ship. It is to have the courage to turn the wheel towards a new horizon that is calling only to you, even if you cannot yet see the shore. This permission is the sacred ground upon which all new growth can happen. Once you have given yourself this gift, you can begin with the practical first steps. And I want to emphasize that these are gentle steps. This is not about quitting your job tomorrow. It is about beginning a quiet conversation with the parts of you that have been waiting to speak. First, conduct a curiosity interview with yourself. Set aside 30 minutes, find a quiet space, and ask your inner self these questions without judgment. If fear and money were no object, what would I spend my time doing? What did I love to do as a child before I was told what I should love? What subjects do I read about when no one is looking? Who are the people, real or fictional, that I admire most, and what qualities do they embody? Write down whatever comes up. Do not analyze it yet. You are simply gathering clues. You are collecting the breadcrumbs left by your soul. Second, Begin a low-stakes experiment. Your soul often whispers in the language of curiosity. From your curiosity interview, pick one small thing that sparked a flicker of interest, just one, and then create a small, non-committal experiment around it. If you remembered you loved painting, do not decide you need to become a professional artist. Simply buy a small watercolor set and spend one Saturday afternoon playing with colors. If you've always been drawn to Italy, do not plan to move to Tuscany. Simply borrow a beginner's Italian language book from the library. This is a low-stakes exploration. There is no pressure to be good at it. There is no goal. The only purpose is to see how it feels, to see if it brings a sense of expansion, a feeling of aliveness. You are dipping your toe in the water to test its temperature. Third, learn to follow the energy. This is your new compass. For the rest of this week, I invite you to become a gentle observer of your own energy. Simply notice what gives you energy and what drains it. Pay attention after every interaction, every task, every meeting. That conversation with a friend that left you feeling inspired and seen, that is an energy gain. That is a yes from your soul. That meeting at work that left you feeling depleted and small, that is an energy drain. That is a no. This is not about making immediate, drastic changes. It is about gathering data. You are learning the language of your body, the language of your inner guidance system. The path to your true north is not paved by shoulds. It is paved by the things that make your soul feel alive. This is how you begin to build your new roadmap. It is not a 5-year plan. It is a process of following the breadcrumbs, one small energy-giving step at a time. And as you do this, you will begin to chart your authentic future. You will find yourself embracing the unknown with a sense of excitement rather than fear, because you are no longer navigating by a rigid external map. You are being guided by the living, breathing compass of your own soul. And you begin to redefine success. Success is no longer about external accolades or metrics on a spreadsheet. Success becomes a feeling. The feeling of alignment, the feeling of purpose, the feeling of living a life that resonates with the deepest truth of who you are. This is the journey, and it is a journey that unfolds for the rest of your life. You are not lost. You are the map maker.
And so we arrive at the heart of this midlife recalibration. We began this journey together, standing at the summit of a life well built, yet feeling a profound and confusing emptiness. The old goals had lost their spark. The old maps had led to a dead end. We learned to see this not as a crisis, but as a sacred signal, a whisper from the soul inviting us to a deeper journey. We turned to Jung's compass, the path of individuation, the courageous journey of letting go of who we thought we were supposed to be to make space for who we truly are. And we discovered that this is not a journey of grand, sweeping changes, but of quiet, courageous, and practical steps, of curiosity interviews, low-stakes experiments, and learning to follow the compass of your own energy. This is the journey, from a life defined by external metrics to a life guided by internal resonance. From climbing a ladder someone else built to drawing the map of your own soul. This is not a midlife crisis. It is a midlife awakening. It is the moment your soul finally asks for the life it was always meant to live. Please know this. The path forward is not a straight, clear highway. It is a meandering trail that you discover, one step at a time.
There will be moments of doubt. There will be moments of fear. That is okay. That is part of the unfolding. The goal is not to have it all figured out. The goal is to stay in conversation with your inner self, to keep asking, what feels alive to me now, and to have the courage to take the next small step in that direction. You are not lost. You are a courageous explorer, charting a new and beautiful world within. If you have felt this call to recalibrate, if you have recognized the whispers of your own soul in this message, I invite you to honor that. Share in the comments below one small new curiosity your soul is whispering to you. It could be a place, a subject, a forgotten hobby. Your spark of curiosity could be the very thing that ignites a flame of permission in someone else. Let us create a space of gentle inspiration for one another. And as you begin to chart this new territory, I want to prepare you for the next courageous act of this journey. Because know this, once you've identified the new direction, the next powerful step is learning how to let go of the heavy, unfulfilled expectations tied to those old goals. In our next video, we will discover the quiet, profound strength of releasing what you thought your life should have been, and why this act of surrender is actually your greatest act of self-reclamation. You will find the tools to gently unclench your grip and create space for peace. Thank you for walking this path with me. Be gentle with yourself. The map is unfolding.